Hello and welcome to the tutorial video of how to create an interactive advert using the Brainient SDK. We're going to start this demonstration with a simple example. We're going to create a Flash file that contains an interactive CTA, and we're then going to create a document class for our FLA document that extends a class from our SDK. After successfully exporting our SWF file, we're then going to upload it to the Brainient Studio, where we can then visualize your first interactive ad and also publish it. So we're going to start by creating this new Flash project. We're going to name it Test Tutorial CTA for now, and we're going to set the root of the project, which is the same folder where it's located, and the same folder as the document file. We've changed the width of our FLA file to 640 by 360 pixels, which is pretty standard for most video players. And we're creating a shape with the same dimensions as our document. We've converted our object to a symbol named Test Tutorial CTA Content. As we do this, we must make sure that we check the Export for ActionScript option. We enter our newly created symbol into our document, and we then create a new symbol named Content from the shape on the timeline. We're also going to name it Content on our stage. Right, so now what we're going to do is edit the content symbol by deleting everything from the shape except the left and the right stroke lines that we're going to make transparent. And this is needed so the Flash itself gets scaled accordingly in the studio format in case there's no background for the video. Now it's time to create our interactive CTA on a new layer. So we'll set up that new layer now, select a color for our shape. And what we're going to do is create a movie clip symbol, and we're going to name it CTA button, and that's going to act as our interactive CTA on the video. So here we're inputting the name for the symbol, and once we've done that and we've got our shape, we're going to add some text to it just to make it a little more obvious it's a CTA. Now obviously you can input whatever text you like. For this demo we're just going to use click here. On a live version you probably would avoid using click just because of tablets and mobiles tapping rather than clicking. And also, what we tend to find is if you have a click here CTA and people don't realize the video is interactive, they'll tend to just click anywhere on the video. So your CTR would improve a lot, but not many people actually open up the microsite or whatever action that CTA has. Okay, so now we've created our button, our click here button. What we're going to do is animate it a little bit. So to do that, we've created an animated symbol named CTA, and that contains the button that we've just created. So now we've done that, let's just spend a couple of minutes animating it. Which I'm sure, if you've had experience with Flash before, this is all going to be very simple for you in terms of animation. So let's just move it to the side. And once we've added all our animation, we're going to add some mouse event listeners, and that will allow us to do some more functionality around the interactivity. Okay, so now we've finished adding the animation, we're now going to add our mouse events listeners to our button. This is going to allow us to switch it from a normal state to overstate. So there's a bit of code change in order to do this. Once again, I'm sure you're very familiar with it. So let's just go through and do those now. Okay, we're now creating an animated movie clip symbol to test and demonstrate what happens after the CTA has been pressed. So we're going to create this, just call it CTA clicked for now. So let's just make this look a little nicer and animate it, and then once again we're going to add a mouse click listener onto the symbol once we've completed the animation. now we're going to add our mouse click listener on the CTA. That's going to animate the clip with the text we've just created when the user selects the CTA. So we can see it's starting to work now. I'm clicking on the CTA and we can see the text is appearing, CTA clicked. So this is starting to look more like the interactivity we're going to want to put onto our video. Let's just make a couple more changes to that. Okay, so I think that completes the animation for what we're going to do. So we can see very nicely the user clicks on the symbol at the bottom left and that text appears. So in the case of a microsite, the user might click on the symbol and an entire different page will appear. But for now, we're just doing a bit of animation when the user selects the CTA. Now we name our main symbol as an instance of the test tutorial CTA content as content. And we set the layer to guide for this. So let's do that now. And what we're going to do now is create the document class for the FLA file. And this is where we start introducing the Brainient SDK. So we're going to call this file test tutorial CTA. At this point, make sure you've added the SDK to your source and library paths of your FLA file and your Flash project. And this is the place to do it, if that hasn't already been done. Okay, now once we've done that, we can open up our document class and edit it so that it extends the abstract media class of the Brainient SDK. Now we need to set accordingly the properties and methods for our class. And if you look at our SDK, you'll be able to see all the various properties within that. So here's just an example taken from the SDK. And what we're going to do is follow the format of this action script when coding a brain roll. So in future projects, follow exactly the same format of this particular file. This file is included in the SDK, so you should be able to see that on our wiki. In the overrided public functions set dimensions, you will be able to set the properties for the ad you created. For example, scale mode, alignment, background, the type of ad, if it has a CTA or not. Now in our case, we've created a simple animated button. That could have been a simple image as well, but it's not a CTA for the abstract media. So in this case, for has CTA, we're going to set it to false. It is a must to set the content class to the class of your content symbol we created in the guided layer before we edited the document. So now let's set the document class for our Flash file, and we're going to export it. And there we go. There's our little animation now in a Flash file, and if we click on it, we see that the CTA is being clicked. So that's all done, and it's got all the necessary code integrated as well. So at this point, the next step now is to upload it into the Brainient Studio and check the preview just to make sure it all looks okay before we publish it. So here's our studio. We've created a new campaign at studio.brainient.com, and we're going to select no video in this case. But of course, you could implement any video you want here, either a YouTube one or a video file if you have the file direct. So we're going to click Add Video. And once we create our campaign and we edit it in the studio, rather than adding interactivity using our normal click-through icons or engagement applications, we're going to select the Flash icon, which is the last engagement application. So when we click on that, on the right-hand side, we'll be able to see some various options for implementing our Flash file. So let's upload that file now. And this brings the SWF file into the studio itself. As you can see, we also have the ability to stick in some extra impression pixels there as well. So we're going to save that project now, and once we've saved it, we'll come back out of the editor. And from here we can preview the ad by clicking on the public preview link. This generates the URL which we can pass over to anybody if we want them to view our interactive advert. And you'll notice on the left hand side we have our VAS tags or embed codes, which allows us to publish the video. So for now, let's go to the public preview, and we can view our new ad that was created with the SDK. And once it's loaded, we'll be able to press play. And here it is. There's our little CTA, and if we click on it, CTA clicked appears. So there we go. So this is a very basic example. We have a CTA, and once we click on it, some animation occurs on the video. Now, using this functionality, it's really open in terms of what you can do with an interactive ad. Feel free to think think of some of your own things. If not, certainly talk to us and we can give you some advice as to the other types of things you can do with the SDK. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you have any questions.